Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Corporate Capture of the Nutrition Profession. Written by Stacy Malkin. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says it is the world's largest organization of nutrition and dietetics practitioners. This fact sheet examines the Academy's relationship with ultra-processed food, beverage, pesticide, and pharmaceutical corporations, which includes accepting contributions from these companies and even investing in them. Evidence from the Academy's own internal documents suggests the group serves up favors for their corporate sponsors at the expense of public health. The Academy and its website eatrite.org promote themselves as your source for science-based food and nutrition information. The group is seen as an authority in food policy making and influences the development of the U.S. dietary guidelines. Current financial ties to ultra-processed food and pesticide corporations. The Academy is not fully transparent about its corporate financial contributors. It does not disclose the size of contributions received from companies or industry groups. In 2025, the Academy sponsors include the National Confectioners Association, a trade association for the candy industry; Bayer, a leading manufacturer of toxic pesticides; General Mills, a large multinational food processing company that produces ultra-processed foods; Cargill, a large multinational agribusiness and ultra-processed food corporation; Kellanova, a large multinational ultra-processed food manufacturer; and Nestle Health Science, a wholly owned subsidiary of the ultra-processed food manufacturer Nestle. According to the Academy website, this list identifies participants in the Academy sponsorship program but does not include advertisers of the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, exhibitors of the Food and Nutrition Conference Expo, FNCE, marketing email list rentals, or sponsors of dietetic practice groups, member interest groups, or foundation events and programs. How are the Academy's leaders tied to corporations? Several members of the Academy's governance boards have close relationships with ultra-processed food and chemical corporations and public relations firms. Current Academy and Academy Foundation boards of directors include Deanna Brandstetter, Academy President, was Vice President of Nutrition and Wellness at Compass Group North America, a food service company. She is a former board member of the International Food Information Council, IFIC, a food industry-funded front group that aids ultra-processed food and pesticide companies with product defense campaigns. Rosanna B. Holliday, House of Delegates Speaker, is a former senior account executive at the Fleishman-Hillard Public Relations Agency. Tracy Wilczek, House of Delegates Director, is an employee of Compass Group, a large conglomerate of food service companies. Elizabeth Ritz, Academy Public Member, is founder and president of Ritz Communications, a global public relations firm whose client list is not disclosed. Lauren Coeli Spain, Academy Director at Large, is an employee of Abbott Nutrition. Aaron Fitzgerald, Academy Foundation Public Member, is former CEO of U.S. Farmers and Ranchers in Action, a public relations effort launched in 2011 to reshape the dialogue about the American food system, with funding from pesticide giants DuPont and Monsanto and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. How reliable is the Academy's advice on diet and nutrition? The Academy has been repeatedly criticized for its close ties to ultra-processed food companies, including Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, General Mills, and Kraft. A 2022 study published in Public Health Nutrition, co-authored by public health scholars and U.S. Right to Know, found that the Academy has a symbiotic relationship with multinational food, pharmaceutical, and agribusiness corporations, and that it acts as a pro-industry voice with policy positions that sometimes clash with its mission to improve health. The study is based on a 5-year investigation and tens of thousands of pages of internal Academy documents that U.S. Right to Know obtained through public records requests. The documents are being posted to the University of California, San Francisco Industry Documents Library, and they are also available here. This paper is the first to review the Academy's internal communications and its interactions with corporations. See study. The Corporate Capture of the Nutrition Profession in the USA, The Case of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics by Angela Carriedo, Ilana Pinsky, Eric Crosby, Gary Ruskin, and Melissa Milan. Public Health Nutrition, October 2022. What do the Academy's internal documents reveal? Public health researchers and U.S. Right to Know assessed the Academy's dealings with food, pharmaceutical, and agribusiness corporations and reported these findings. The Academy accepted millions of dollars from food, pharmaceutical, and agribusiness companies and had policies to provide favors and benefits in return. The Academy and its foundation have invested in ultra-processed food and pharmaceutical companies. Academy leaders have been employed by or consulted for multinational food, pharmaceutical, and agribusiness corporations. The Academy has discussed policies to fit the needs of its food, agribusiness, and pharmaceutical industry sponsors. Documents are posted here. News coverage of the study. Guardian revealed, Group Shaping U.S. Nutrition Receives Millions from Big Food Industry by Tom Perkins, 12.922. Washington Post. Group Shaping Nutrition Policy Earned Millions from Junk Food Makers by Anahad O'Connor, 10.2422. More coverage. Food Politics, MedPage Today, Corporate Crime Reporter, Epoch Times. In a March 2024 interview with Cheryl Atkinson, U.S. Right to Know Executive Director Gary Ruskin discussed the ties between the Academy and the ultra-processed food industry and how that impacts the Academy's messaging about healthful food. For more on the science behind health concerns of ultra-processed foods, see our series of fact sheets. Corporate financial contributions to the Academy. The study reports that the Academy accepted more than $15 million from corporate and organizational contributors in the years 2011 and 2013 to 2017, according to its draft IRS Forms 990. It provides the most comprehensive reporting to date on the Academy's financial dealings with food, agribusiness, and pharmaceutical corporations. The Academy's top contributors in 2011 and 2013 to 2017 were National Dairy Council $1,496,912, Conagra Incorporated $1,414,058, Abbott Nutrition $1,246,389, Abbott Laboratories $824,110, Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Foundation $801,261, PepsiCo Incorporated $486,335, Coca-Cola Company $477,577, Hershey Company $368,032, General Mills Incorporated $309,733, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality $296,495, Aramark Company $293,051, Unilever Best Foods $276,791, Kellogg USA $273,272. Here are the Academy's draft IRS Form 990s with donor data. 6/11 to 5/12, 6/13 to 5/14, 6/14 to 5/15, 6/15 to 5/16, and 6/16 to 5/17, and the Academy's Foundation's draft IRS Form 990s for 6/12 to 5/13 and 6/13 to 5/14. Large corporate contributions to the Academy's Foundation. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Foundation, the Academy's charitable arm, also serves as a vehicle for accepting large corporate contributions. The foundation bills itself as the only charitable organization devoted exclusively to supporting nutrition and dietetics professionals by empowering them to help consumers live healthier lifestyles. Between 2011 and 2014, the IN Foundation received more than $2 million each year from corporations, representing approximately a third of its total revenues for that period. In 2015, the corporate funding dropped under $2 million, but corporate funding still represented more than 62% of the foundation's revenues. Academy investments in food and drug company stocks. Internal Academy documents show that the Academy has also invested in ultra-processed food companies, The Academy's investment portfolio in January 2015 included $244,036 in stock holdings in Nestlé S.A. and $139,545 in PepsiCo. The Academy Foundation's investment portfolio in June 2013 included $209,472 in stock holdings in Nestlé S.A. and $125,682 in PepsiCo. In other words, the Academy was actually a part owner of ultra-processed food companies. The documents also show the Academy also invested in several pharmaceutical companies, including Abbott, Johnson & Johnson, Perrigo Co., Pfizer Incorporated, Allegra, and Merck & Company. What's at stake for our health? Recent studies provide strong evidence that ultra-processed foods are increasing rates of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, weight gain and obesity, cancer, dementia, and most alarmingly, all-cause mortality. Yet many people are confused about the health risks of ultra-processed foods, primarily because they are deliberately missold by ultra-processed food and chemical companies that profit from an industrial food system. There is also extensive evidence showing how food and beverage corporations influence science and policy efforts aimed at protecting health and well-being. One key strategy is to capture and use health professionals and health institutions as vehicles to achieve their policy goals. U.S. Right to Know has co-authored 15 peer-reviewed studies based on internal corporate and government documents that examine how the ultra-processed food and beverage industries work to shape science, policy, and public opinion to protect their profits at the expense of public health. Who are the corporate sponsors of F&CE 2025? The Academy's annual conference, the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo, courts corporate sponsors from the ultra-processed food and pesticide industries. Billed as the world's largest meeting of food and nutrition experts, the 2025 event will be held in Nashville, Tennessee in October. The floor plan of exhibitors includes PepsiCo, Mondelez, the Sugar Association, General Mills, Cargill, and CropLife, the Pesticide Industry Trade Association. FTC warns dietitian influencers to disclose industry funding. In November 2023, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission sent warning letters to two trade groups, the American Beverage Association and the Canadian Sugar Institute, and 12 registered dietitian nutritionists and other online health influencers, warning them about the lack of adequate disclosures in their Instagram and TikTok posts promoting the safety of the artificial sweetener aspartame or the consumption of sugar-containing products. The influencers, who have a combined 6 million followers on the social media platforms, failed to adequately disclose that they were apparently hired to promote the safety of aspartame or the consumption of sugar-containing products, respectively, FTC said. In a warning letter sent to registered dietitian Mary Ellen Phipps, who goes by the handle at Milne County Nutrition on Instagram, the FTC said, "You posted dietary advice on Instagram endorsing the safety of aspartame. Among the other things you said, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and American Cancer Society both aligned with the extensive body of scientific research that supports the safety of low and no-calorie sweeteners, including aspartame. It appears that you were paid by the American Beverage Association to make this post." The FTC listed a number of concerns about the inadequacy of Phipps' disclosure that she was paid by the beverage industry trade group. Her post also doesn't disclose that her key source, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, also receives money from the American Beverage Association. FTC guidelines require that if there is a material connection between an endorser and the marketer of a product, that connection should be clearly and conspicuously disclosed. The agency gave the influencers 15 days to respond to the concerns and put them on notice that continuing to engage in the behavior described in the letters could subject them to civil penalties of up to $50,120 per violation. See reporting in the Washington Post. The food industry pays influencer dietitians to shape your eating habits. 9.1323. FTC cracks down on food industry for paid dietitian influencer posts. 11.1523. What is the evidence the Academy serves as a voice for corporate sponsors? The Academy helps to mainstream nutrition advice that often dovetails with corporate product defense messaging. For example, The Academy does not offer advice about particular foods to avoid to improve health. Instead, it promotes the messaging of the ultra-processed food and beverage industries, claiming that classification of specific foods is overly simplistic. Even though strong scientific evidence links ultra-processed foods to cardiovascular disease, overweight, obesity, cancer, type 2 diabetes, dementia, and other chronic and dangerous health problems, including increased risk of all-cause mortality. The Academy has also rewarded its corporate sponsors. One well-known example, in 2015, the Academy announced a partnership with Kraft, which was widely seen as an endorsement of some of Kraft's products as healthy options to include in children's menus at schools. The Academy's first nutrition seal, the Kids Eat Right label, was put on Kraft singles, individually wrapped slices of processed cheese product. This was a major coup for the Kraft Foods Group, reported the New York Times. The Times reported, Kraft is a frequent target of advocates for better children's nutrition, who contend that many of its products are overprocessed, with too much fat, sodium, sugar, artificial dyes, and preservatives. In their review of the Academy's corporate financial deals, researchers of the 2022 Public Health Nutrition Study concluded that the Academy and its foundation assist the food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, and agribusiness industries through their large network of professionals and students, their lax internal policies on corporate partnerships, and their topical position papers. The Academy and corporations interact symbiotically. This sets a precedent for close corporate relationships with the food and nutrition profession in the USA, which may negatively affect the public health agenda in the USA and internationally. Further reading. As obesity rises, Big Food and Dietitians Push Anti-Diet Advice by Sasha Chapkin, Caitlin Gilbert, Angelique Sui, and Anahad O'Connor, Washington Post. 4.324. The food industry pays influencer dietitians to shape your eating habits by Anahad O'Connor, Caitlin Gilbert, and Sasha Chapkin, Washington Post. 9.1323. Nearly half of Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee have conflicts of interest by U.S. Right to Know. 10.423. Nutrition Month messaging is good for big food's profits, not for our health, by U.S. Right to Know, March 14, 2023. Marketing to Dietitians, The Benefits of MSG, by Marion Nessel, Food Politics, 1.2422. Dietetic Association lets Bayer, owner of glyphosate, educate its members about pesticides, by Marion Nessel, Food Politics, 9.920. Unsavory Truth, How Food Companies Skew the Science of What We Eat, by Marion Nestle, Basic Books/Hachette, 2018. Leaked Email Reveals Dietitian's Murky Relationship with Monsanto, by Alex Orlov, Mike, 3.2217. America's Largest Group of Dietitians Was Almost Run by Big Soda, by Alex Sorloff, Vice, 3.117. How the Food Lobby Affects Nutrition Advice, Associated Press, 11.116. Soda and Snack Food Companies Welcomed at Nutrition Conference, by Alexandra Sifferlin, Time Magazine, 10.1416. Coke Spends Lavishly on Pediatricians and Dietitians, by Anahad O'Connor, New York Times, 9.2815. Dietitians Group Negotiating to End Labeling Deal with Kraft Singles, by Stephanie Strom, New York Times, 3.3015. A Cheese Product Gains Kids Nutrition Seal, by Stephanie Strom, New York Times, 3.1215. Dietitians Take Aim at Food Industry Sponsorships, by Christina Fior, Meg Page Today, 8.614. Food Politics Creates Rift in Panel on Labeling, by Stephanie Strom, New York Times, 4.1013. Is the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics committed to telling Americans the truth about genetically modified foods? By Carol Bartolotto, HuffPost, 4.2213. And now a word from our sponsors. Are America's nutrition professionals in the pocket of big food? By Michelle Simon, Eat Drink Politics, 1.13.